The Woman in Black. It was the fall of 2023 when Faith and Neil bought their first home. They hadn't moved far, just down the road from the rental where they'd been living, but this felt different. This house was theirs, a new chapter. It wasn't perfect. The basement was unfinished, the floors creaked, and a draft seemed to move through the halls at night. But it was cozy. It was theirs. While unpacking, Faith found something unusual. Behind the furnace sat an old Ouija board, its surface faded, its planchette chipped. She laughed when she showed it to Neil, calling it a relic. Neil didn't laugh. He hated it instantly and told her it should be thrown away. Faith, curious, kept it. On Halloween night, with a few friends over, Faith brought out the board. Neil resisted, but with the others encouraging, he relented. The room was dim. Candles flickered. They placed their hands on the planchette. At first, nothing happened. Questions were asked. Silence followed. Laughter bubbled. Then the planchette shifted. Slowly, unnaturally. Nervous smiles faltered. From somewhere distant came faint, childlike giggling. The candles flickered violently, casting jagged shadows. Then, from the basement came a slam so loud the floor seemed to vibrate. Their dog, Cooper, barked furiously at the basement door, his claws scraping the wood. The session ended at once. Friends left quickly, unsettled. But the unease lingered. Just after 3 o'clock in the morning, Cooper's barking woke them again. He wasn't in their room. His growls echoed from the basement. Faith and Neil found him at the basement door, the hackles raised, eyes fixed on whatever lay beyond. Neil forced himself down the steps. The air was icy. His flashlight beam swept across the basement and froze. The rocking chair. It wasn't where it had been earlier. It had moved closer to the spare room. And worse, it rocked slowly, steadily, as though someone had only just stood up. Neil whispered to himself that it was only a draft, but as he turned to leave, the chair creaked again. He hurried upstairs, locked the door, and swore not to return at night. Cooper never went back down. The following night, Faith dreamed. She was in a long, narrow hallway, the air pressed down, damp and heavy. At the far end stood a woman, dressed head to toe in black, her skin pale, her eyes hollow. The woman tilted her head and whispered into Faith's mind, "Why have you called me?" Faith jolted awake, clammy and breathless. The disturbances grew. Cooper barked at corners of empty rooms. He snarled at the hallway mirror, refusing to pass it until Neil covered it with a sheet. One afternoon, while cleaning, Faith froze. Written faintly in the dust of a windowsill were 2 words: "Your mistake." When she ran to fetch Neil, the words had vanished. Soon after, Neil dreamed. He was inside a log cabin. Every door he opened led him back to the same room. Panic rose. Behind him came giggling, faint at first, then closer. Pale children stepped from the shadows, their eyes hollow. They whispered, "She won't let us leave." "You're here with us now." Neil woke, drenched in sweat. Desperate, they went to the church nearby. They told the priest about the noises, the dreams, and the figure they had begun to call the Woman in Black. The priest's expression drained. He told them he had heard this before. Decades ago, another couple had come to him with the same story. Weeks later, they were found dead. He agreed to bless the house. He walked from room to room, reciting prayers, sprinkling holy water. The house seemed to fight him. Lights flickered, doors slammed. In the basement, the rocking chair scraped loudly across the floor. Then, silence. The air grew warm. The stillness felt final. The priest warned them she may have left the house, but not them. That night, the dreams came stronger. Faith dreamed of a long table. 6 children sat silently, pale and lifeless. At the head was the woman in black, her sunken eyes staring through her. She spoke in a voice that rattled her bones. "You belong to me." Neil dreamed too. He was back in the cabin. The children circled him, whispering and giggling louder, almost chanting, "She won't let us go." You belong to her now. By dawn, Faith and Neil couldn't bear it. They packed bags, loaded Cooper into the car, and fled to Neil's family cabin miles away. And there, for the first time in weeks, the dream stopped. They sold the house. They vowed never to return. Years passed. Faith and Neil moved to a nearby town, married, and had a son. Life grew normal again. The woman in black became a memory. Until one morning, their son was playing with a toy fire truck on the mantel. He looked up at Faith and smiled innocently. He said he had been playing upstairs with Grandma the night before. Faith froze. His grandmother lived 3 hours away. The boy laughed and said, "Not that Grandma. Grandma Black. She always wants to play with me." Faith's voice cracked as she asked what Grandma Black looked like. Without hesitation, he replied, "She wears all black, silly." And then, still smiling, he added one last thing. "She says we belong to her."